Hello guys, Voxel Pro here coming at you with a unfocused rant, and this one is brought to you by my friend Threes. Now this is the second time I'm recording this rant because I don't think the first time I recorded it I was very clear. So let me get into it. I have a problem with the Assassin's Creed franchise, not because the new game Assassin's Creed Origin is coming out, but because the story, the original story. I think I ranted about this before. I thought I remember ranting about this before. I might have ranted about this to myself before, but I don't know. It's all getting lost in my mind. Listen, I go on tirades for days, okay? So let's get into it. So back in 2007, real time, there was a game that was released for the PlayStation called Assassin's Creed, right? It was the first Assassin's Creed headed up by Jade Raymond, and you know, and Ubisoft was the one. This was when Ubisoft was doing good. I don't know, somehow in 2011 they just went downhill. Either way, that's neither here nor there, but let's get back into it. The whole Desmond storyline. You know, Desmond said finding the apple. What happened to Subject 16? You know, it was all these mysteries and questions, and it was a great storyline. You know, we could argue about the mechanics of the first game and like how it was like repetitive and all that other stuff. People either like really liked it or really hated it, but I liked it. Anyway, I liked the games with Desmond in them. They had like a good storyline. It was, you know, it was something that you kind of had to power through when it started to get into Ezio and all that, and La Volpe, and you know, the Borgia and everything like that. But anyway, so all that just somehow went out the window. That whole storyline, like we know that he was supposed to find out what happened to Subject 16. He left clues. Somehow he was alive. He was leaving clues, but then he got transferred as an AI. But then, you know, we was like, well, what really happened to him? But that was his blood on the walls at the end of 1 and at the beginning of 2, because 2 picks up where 1 left off at. And then they left there. And so then it's like, well, what happened to Subject 16? Well, it was kind of revealing the past of finding the apples of Eden. You had to put these puzzles together, you know, see where you can highlight to find the golden apple, figure out how to rotate the things to make the images, and you had to match them up like some puzzles. But there was like 3 layers, and the one layer would always turn twice and the other one would turn right side, and then you had to figure out these puzzles, and there was plenty of them, and you had to figure all the hieroglyphics and all this other stuff, and it was just time consuming, but it was great, and it made you think that you was solving a mystery of what happened to Subject 16. And then you got this trophy on the PlayStation, and equivalent to achievement, you know, on the Xbox, and then it was like, I am alive. You know, it was like the what you call it, the I am, it was dot 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 dot. You know, it was that you know what I'm trying to talk, you know what I'm trying to say. It's not Braille, but it's the beeps. Beep, 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 beep. You know, one of them. I forget what that's called. But, you know, when they send out them telegraph, the old school intermission, you know, not intermission, but one of those those coded messages. Morse code, that's what it was. Anyway, so, so then you got this achievement, and it was displayed in Morse code, and then you discover that it means that I am alive. And then it's like, well, what happened to Subject 16? You know, where you can find them at. And then it discovered, you know, you go to the thing, and then it discovers that, you know, you finally see him, and it's like his mental capacity like locked up inside the Animus. Like somehow he uploaded his consciousness, but somehow he died. you know. So then you get this achievement like a couple of games in, like Assassin's Creed Revelations or something like that, and then it gives another Morse code thing when the, like, I think when you're done with like all those hieroglyphs and stuff like that, that says I am not alive. So, you know, and then it's like confusing, but it was a great thing. But it was a great thing, but it was also very eerie what happened to Subject 16 when you would discover that he was alive and then he wasn't, and then he never was when they said he was, you know. And then the whole thing with the apple of Eden, the transfer of power, the ending of the world, the Roman gods, this, that, and the other, the ones who came before, the people who came after Adam and Eve, and this and that and the other. And so you had all that, and it was all converging into a point, and it was just starting to make sense, and things was percolating and bubbling in the storyline, you know, and it was getting you transfixed in the actual story. Like, oh shoot, when is he gonna become an assassin in real time? Like, you know, where's the apple of Eden at? Because that's what they're going through his memories to try to find out where it was the last time it was seen, you know. And it was last seen in Assassin's Creed 3, which was technically the 5th game that came out, the 5th major game that came out. And it was like in the mountains somewhere. And then you go in there, and it's Lucy and this, and you discover that you've been betrayed, you know, and she was actually a Templar all along. Whatever, it's too long. That game came out 5 years ago. If you ain't hip, you ain't hip yet. Then you just gonna stay unhip. So then you discover that she's a Templar. Then you had Minerva and Juno, and they're combating against each other. And then at the climax of the game, the ending of the game is that Desmond has to either let him, you discover the true relationship between the Assassins and the Templars and what their goals is. They're both trying to save the world, I guess, but they differ about how to do it. But I don't know what that has to do with, I don't know, but it seems kind of arbitrary, because they never explain how killing so many people, you know, killing so many people was gonna stop the solar flare to come, you know. And I'm like, this is just madness. This is just madness, you know. Why are both people, one is like controlling it by, you know, like through fear and manipulation and intimidation, and the other people's like killing like specific people. Neither one of them are pretty good, you know. But I can't even articulate how, like, you know, how much sense it don't make to stop the solar flare, because at the time Assassin's Creed 3 came out, it was supposed to be based off of the myth of the 2012 world ending and this, that, and the other with the Mayan calendar, and there's supposed to be a solar flare. And then what was supposed to happen is that the world was supposed to go underground, and he was going to become a patron saint or whatever, and then he could stop all that if he released Minerva or Juno. It was one of them. But they both goddesses, you know, Roman goddesses, and in the game. And so I don't know. I don't know which one was which. It's been so long. I ain't played it in a while. I ain't going back to it. But I said all that to say that at the end of the game, you release whoever it was. I believe it was Minerva. You release Minerva, even though Juno was trying to tell you, like, no, she'll wreak havoc, death, and destruction. People will start to riot. There's nothing to happen. But somehow she has the power to stop it. She gets released, and the credits start to roll. You hear a news report as the credits are rolling. You hear nothing but screams, flames, riot, death, and destruction in the background. Now, this is where I you know, I gotta articulate something for you. Let me tell you something. Let me explain something to you. Okay. if she was causing so much death and destruction, you know, if this was truly she was truly doing damage, to the world, like it was the second coming of Jesus, like something straight out of the book of Revelations. Why then? Why then is this story not continued upon by the sequels of Assassin's Creed? Because we know Desmond already died. He did. He died. He did. He ain't living no more. Okay? So fast forward to when Assassin's Creed Black Flag comes out. Nowhere to be found. No death, no destruction. Abstergo is just fine. You don't hear nothing about on the news. The people who was helping you in Assassin's Creed 1 through 3, they're at Abstergo Games undercover trying to help get some memories and information on other Abstergo agents and, and junk. I don't know. I didn't play it, but they're going there undercover. And, but maybe it was a prequel. I don't know. Maybe it was a prequel now that I think about it. I don't know. But either way, it just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. No, I'm pretty sure it took place after, because I think I was watching the gameplay video of it, and in one of the real world scenes they reference Desmond. They reference how Desmond already died and all that junk. But who the people who played that and really know about it knows. But I just don't get it. The ones that came out after that, Unity, Syndicate, all them dudes. All them dudes, they just, why? And and you know what? I doubt that Assassin's Creed, the upcoming Assassin's Creed Origins, is going to be any different. I bet in like in their real world, it's going to take place after, like, it's going to be like the maximum amount of time after Desmond died. Like, so, like, let's say in the last, like, few games, in the last few games, that their real world parts were chronologically in order. That means that at this one is probably going to be chronologically the latest in the real world. But when you go into the I don't know, I'm just going to call it the Matrix, because I forget what that thing's called. When they go into the Matrix, that is supposed to, I guess, explain the origins of the Assassin's Creed. I wasn't trying to make a joke there, although I think that deserves a slow clap, though. But yeah, and I don't get it. Why is there no death and destruction to be found? Why is all this stuff happening? Why is that all been erased? You know what it is? I bet I know what it is. I'll tell you what it is. I bet it's because Jade Raymond left. I bet that's what it is. They were just like, oh shoot, well, we don't know what happened. We can't go from here. We're not as good writers. Where's all them dudes at? Where's all the dudes that was helping her create this? Where's all the people that was helping her? They all left. They trying to make, they was like, no, Ubisoft has become horrible in terms of quality. Their reputation is not on par with BioWare, but it's doggone close. Listen, they ain't fire people yet, but BioWare is a whole separate subject, which I think I already ranted about, yeah. Anyway, so I don't get it. Where is this, all this stuff hiding? Where's all this stuff, like, in terms of story? Where's it all hiding? Like, what, they just gonna smooth over it? They just, listen, they gonna pretend. This story, I bet that Assassin's Creed, they just gonna pretend like Assassin's Creed 1 through 3, they're gonna like reference it roundabout, but they're just gonna pretend it didn't happen. Like that little girl on Family Matters. They just gonna pretend like it never happened. They just that's just true. They just gonna pretend like man. I think it was like that on the Cosby too. I think they're just gonna pretend like either it just showed up out of nowhere or pretend like it never happened, like somebody out of Cosby's. I think it was Sandra. I think originally it was just Rudy, Denise. It was just Rudy, Denise, Theo, and what's the other one? And what's the other one? But not the oldest one. Not the one that got married to Elvin. She just showed up out of nowhere. She just showed up out of nowhere. But they're gonna pretend she's Rachel's kid. You know, the third daughter. The third daughter from Family Matters. They're just gonna pretend like they just disappeared. Like without explanation. That's what's gonna happen. They're just gonna disappear without explanation. No trace to be found. No, the staff done already left for a different job. Like, you know, just no explanation of where it went to or what was happening in that storyline. Ain't coming back. I bet that's what's gonna happen. But yeah, man. I don't know, man. I'm positive it's gonna be treated like that girl on Family Matters. Just disappear without a trace, you know, with no explanation whatsoever. And that kind of thing is despicable. That kind of thing stinks. It's cantankerous. It's despicable. It's deplorable. You know, you get somebody invested in your product, but then you don't have time to flesh out the rest of the story. Even Kojima, you know, with, you know, Metal Gear Solid, you know, at least he closed the loop. And I don't care what y'all say about Chapter 51. I don't care what y'all say. That wouldn't have changed the doggone thing. That wouldn't have changed the doggone thing. Because then what? What then? What then? How does that change? How does that change the ending of the game? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was unfinished or not. You got it on DVD. If you got the special edition, the pre-order 99 special edition with the hand and all this other stuff, and you got the DVD, you know what was supposed to happen. If you didn't, you can go out on YouTube. And doggone it, when you read the whole thing and you listen to all that other stuff, it don't matter. It does not affect the heaviness of the game. It does not answer any questions. To me, the Metal Gear Solid franchise has answered all its questions. It has answered all its questions. We know who killed Miller. We know who killed Miller. We know what happened. We know what happened to Big Boss. You know, we know that whole thing. We know why Solid and Liquid was created. We know that they were supposed to be the weapon to surpass Metal Gear. We know all this. It's, you know, we know what happened to Paz. We know all kinds of stuff. And at this point, you know, it's doggone near 2 years after the game had came out. And if y'all don't get it by now, I don't know what to tell you. People don't know how to look at things closely, you know. You should obviously be able to tell that ever since Metal Gear Solid 3 that you didn't have to work hard to figure out whose side Ocelot was on all the time. You know, if you just played Metal Gear Solid 4, you would have figured that out. They answered that. Like, I guarantee you, if you play 2 games, if you play 4 and 5, I guarantee you that those will answer like doggone near 100% of all the questions that you have about Metal Gear. If you play the 4th one and the 5th one, is doggone near, you know, answering all the questions. All the cutscenes, you know what happened to Eva, you know who the Patriots are, you know that where they were, you know that the people is the AI, you just know all this stuff. Because 4 goes over everything that happened in 1, 2, and 4, and the beginning of 4, and then even stretches back into Operation Snake Eater, and you know, Portable Ops wasn't out yet, or I'm sorry, what's the one? Peace Walker wasn't out yet because Peace Walker came out after that, so they couldn't reference that. But even still, if you played some of that, that's set up for Ground Zeroes, and even then, you know, you kind of figured out, you know, I mean, come on. The long and short of it is that something bad happened, allegiances were made, and, you know, spies were in there, and then grudges happened, and then it just fell apart. It just all fell apart, and the whole world was doomed. And so, you know, all that junk, you know. Big Boss was you discovered that Big Boss was never really a bad guy. Neither was the boss. She was not a bad person. She was, you know, I mean, all this stuff is easy to figure out. You just gotta see. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this rant. This ended up being longer than it was supposed to, but yeah. Subscribe to Vox Pro, share this with somebody. I'll see you guys later.